Romans chapter 6, verses 14 through 29 tells the story of John the Baptist's death. It's probably a story that many of us are familiar with. And there's a lot that we could talk about Herod's decisions, about what lust does, what making promises that you don't know you're making. There's a lot that we could unpack there, and there's a lot that's already been said about that. But the thing that kind of stood out to me that I wanted to just maybe talk about briefly was at the very end, verse 29, after John is dead, Mark recounts that his disciples come and take his body and they lay it in a tomb. And that just got me thinking about the verse in Romans where Paul says, "Rejoice with those who rejoice and mourn with those who mourn," and what it must have been like for his followers to have to take his body and bury it, and what they would have been thinking and feeling. Today, there are a lot of awful things that happen. There are a lot of evil things that happen. There are a lot of atrocities that happen. And as the church, we are called to mourn, not just when the bad thing happens within close proximity to us. That's when it's the easiest to mourn, when we feel it because of how close it hits us. But the Bible doesn't talk about that. It says mourn with those who mourn, and more and more so as we are being connected from further and further away. There is, I think, a responsibility on us as Jesus followers to, yes, rejoice with the things that should be rejoiced in, but to not gloss over the hard, not to gloss over the difficult, not to gloss over somebody else's pain. I think it's really easy for us to look at pain, at an awful thing, and think, I'm glad I'm not them. When I think we should be saying, I need to be with them. So maybe we need to think about what it means to communally mourn, to lament, to grieve. Yes, there's been a lot of reasons to do that in the pandemic. I think there's going to be a time when we as a church, especially once we can kind of come back together, are going to need to do that, and that we can start practicing that. Not because we want to feel bad. It's not about feeling bad. It's about standing with others, knowing that we have a God who connects us, who himself weeps when he sees the hurting of people. That's what we get from the story in John 11 with Jesus and Lazarus, was that God sees the pain and he weeps with those who are weeping. And so may we weep with those who weep. May we stand with those who are suffering. May we be present with those who have gone through unspeakable things. And may we be the presence and comfort and hope of Christ in those times.